Greña and Huracan to the Las Vegas Tip Challenge that Isidro and I were hosts of in Las Vegas. And it was a great experience because they got to go to a show, they got to be in stalls, they got to do a lot of things that they're going to be doing when they get to Fort Worth. And this was November 1st through 3rd. So Huracan is pretty green still here. I think it's great that he's riding him at the show. He's in a pen by himself, or an arena, working by himself there, and just working on like steering. And he was a little spooky and nervous and stuff. Totally expected. You could see, his steering is still, not great. He's going pretty forward, which is good, but not as relaxed as we'd like. So he's got a long ways to go. He's of course much better now, but he's still pretty green back then. But he did great. I mean, he walked, trot, cantered. He listened to Isidro. He didn't do anything bad. He's just acting like a green horse. You see the gates right there, and he's kind of leaning toward running his shoulder out, wanting to go out that gate. He was a little nervous and stuff. There's a lot going on there. There's some wild horses in the background with the BLM tent that you can see. And I just wanted to get some video of Isidro where he's at. I didn't edit any of this video. This is his ride. This is what he looked like. It's not all pretty and perfect. Horse makes mistakes, goes faster, runs his shoulder out, not really, all together, and that's okay. Just little baby steps. The whole idea is just to get him out there and get him moving around, so that he gets better. Below to the demo that Extreme Wylene did with Greña in Las Vegas. She really kind of helped me work through some fear that I was having with this horse and riding him. He had done some explosions in training, and I could feel him wanting to kind of explode when I was riding him, and it just kind of really got into my head. I have a full-time job, and I'm a mom, and I don't ride horses all day long, so I'm a little out of shape and a little out of like just experience that you can have when you're riding all day long. So this is mostly the only horse that I'm riding every day and working with, and so it kind of got into my head a little bit. And Wylene's great. Like, I would totally be following her. She's great with confidence and kind of pushing you a little bit. And I think right before we brought Greña back to Northern California. And this is my first ride back. And I actually was super nervous, and I actually called Wylene and was like, I'm stuck. And so she's like, just get up there, go, And so she kind of talked me through it, and it was great. And so I just got on him and trusted the technique that she put on him. She put what she calls the emergency stop on him, when you just kind of run your hand up on his neck and they just learn to stop. It's a conditioned response. And you could see me demonstrating it there. Like when I would get nervous, instead of grabbing his mouth, I would just do that, and that would kind of bring him back down, because he was conditioned to stop when you do that, which is kind of a nice technique, because if somebody's falling off, a lot of times they'll just kind of reach up there, and if the horse knows to stop when that happens, then they can avoid a lot of crashes and problems. And what it did to serve me more than the horse was to realize that I could stop him. And it just gave me some more confidence. And then so I was able to get out of my head a little bit and just start doing the training that I know how to do. We did walk, trot, and canter in this round pen first. Made sure that I could stop him. Just still really green on the back up there. And then I got off, and I was really, really happy with that, because I was there by myself. I'm wearing my helmet because I am nervous, but I got through it. And then I pushed myself to bring him out to this larger arena and ride him out there. I rode him in a pretty big arena in Vegas, so figured if I could do that, I could do this. So instead of getting what I find that I can do, and I see people do, is they stay safe and get a little bit too comfortable. I could just stay in the round pen and just stay in the round pen, but unless I push myself and push this horse and put us in, challenge us to do some safely, conditions that or areas or, positions where we could be nervous, or it's a little more scary, then we're never going to progress. So I'm in this bigger arena. We walked, trot, and cantered out there. Just the whole goal here was just making him go forward and trusting that he wasn't going to explode and he wasn't going to buck me off. And we'd already worked through all that stuff, and he had already had the training. I just needed to trust the training and to trust him and to trust myself. And so it was very, very liberating to be able to just do that. And you can see he's green. He's like, oh, I don't know how to turn, even though I've done a ton of ground driving with him. So this is the whole point of this, is just, okay, working on simple things. Our goal here is just to go forward, and get him comfortable with me being up there at walk, trot, and canter in this bigger pen, and where he doesn't feel claustrophobic, where I'm grabbing his face and hauling on him and not letting him move out, which would cause an explosion. So here we are in another day, and I'm putting boots on him for the first time. And I thought I'd show this, a lot more of this video than I think. Maybe this is something that gets skipped. People are like, oh, well, how do you put the boots on for the first time? Because it's the first time. So I'm making a lot of noise with them, and I'm doing the Velcro, and he's not being reactive to it. So that's telling me, okay, he's ready for this. And I just treat it like anything that I'm going to desensitize. And I don't do it just the first time. Like, I'll keep doing that, where I'll just, okay, you still cool with this? You still cool with this Velcro? You still cool with these white things? And I just have him ground tied, and then rubbing him with it. And the reason why I have him ground tied is he knows how to ground tie. And then, but at the same time, it allows me to, easier where he doesn't shut down. Like, I can read him a lot better if he knows he can walk away. So, the essence of ground tie, of course, they think they can't walk away, but he knows he can. So I'm not trying to hold on to that rope. I'm trying to give him the freedom a little bit to move away or to express his him being uncomfortable. So hopefully I explained that well. But yeah, so you see, I just rubbed him with it. I made noise with it. I just gradually working down and gauging his response to what I'm doing, and he's like totally cool with it. So that tells me I have the green light to go forward and to put it on. And then I'm squatting. Like, you don't want to ever put your knee down or anything like that. So in case he does do something silly, I can get the heck out of the way. But yeah, so I did this leg, and I just still the whole time just being really, really aware and reading him. How is he handling this? How is he handling this noise? How is he handling this thing and this pressure on his leg that he'd never had before? And he was just, everything was fine. So I just kept going forward with it. And I didn't video each foot because that would take him forever. I just did the one front and then one rear, so you could just see how I approached it. And see, I'm not trying to be quiet here. I'm making noise with this stuff because I want him to be okay with it. I want to test and see that he really is okay with it. So each time I put a boot on, I showed it to him. I made noise by his face, gauged his reaction, and then I touched him with it, just like I desensitized him with a ton of other things. So I'm using the same process. So he's like, okay, I understand what this means. And I could just keep building on it. And then the same thing with this leg. And even though I've already put a boot on the other back leg, I'm not going to just automatically assume that I'll walk up to this back leg and throw it on there. I'm going to go ahead and do the same process. And that gives him a lot of confidence. And so even now, I still kind of will pause. And even though he's had these on a ton of times, I still will pause and just see, okay, where's my horse at mentally? Can he handle me putting these boots on? So I really want to just show, if people who've never done this before, have never put boots on a horse for the first time, how I go about doing that. And then, of course, this was very entertaining. He's like, he thought that he couldn't move. Poor guy. And it was just too funny because he was very, very overly dramatic about having these boots on. So he's showed us that he has a little bit of talent for picking those legs up. It's too funny. He's such a character. Like, usually they kind of pick up their legs and walk silly for like a minute, but like he just kept going with it. And you got to laugh in horse training. Sometimes you just gotta laugh. He was too cute. He still does it a little bit with the back legs now, but not as bad. So here I'm just going back to something that we've seen in other videos where I get him to side pass up to me. I use this tool a lot to desensitize, and even though I'm riding him at this point, I'm still going back and checking that this stuff is okay. And I'd like to eventually ride him bareback. And because in the past, whenever you touched his flank or his butt, he would just like bolt forward or leap up in the air. So I'm constantly going back and making sure that that stuff is okay. And going above him and making noise up there, because eventually I'd like to be able to make a lot of noise while I'm riding him without him being scared. So it starts right here, and then just getting on and off, on and off. And this is how my horses do really well standing still when I get on and off, where I don't need to like hold them, because I teach them to stand still. And right here, and this is a big part of the training that I like to do, is just, and then doing it from both sides. I think I only show it on one side here, but I can do it on both sides and get on and off from both sides. And here I'm actually even sitting a little further back on him, because I want to see how does he feel about me being that further back. And I just want to show you how eventually I'm going to get this horse to side pass up at liberty. Let me get on him and off him, and him to be okay with it. And that just translates really, really well under saddle. And you'll see in some later videos how well that does translate under saddle. And here I just get on and then get off, and then reward him. I'm using positive reinforcement as well as negative reinforcement of walking away right there. And then here he's has no halter on anymore, and I'm asking him to come up to me. And he's a little confused, and that's fine. So then I have my whip, I think, and I ask him with my whip and just guide him over. I'm giving him a lot of reward, though, for this, because he's trying, and he's really trying. So I'm going to give him a lot of reward for that. And here I just kind of tell him, oh, no, this is what I needed you to do. And he was like, okay, got it. And these are little baby steps that just build and build and build. So it wasn't perfect that time, but he's trying and he's going in the right direction. If I keep demanding it to be perfect right away in the beginning, it's going to make him not crave and not want to do it and lose confidence because he doesn't know what's expected of him. So yeah, I'd ideally like him be further sideways, but we're going to get there. And so here he's further away, and I'm going to ask him to come on up. And you see he's thinking about it. He's not quite sure what the answer is, but he's pretty sure he has it. And so like I don't know if you could see that when he paused like that, that told me that he was a little confused. So then I rewarded that first try, and then that made him try harder this next time. You see how cool. He literally just side passed right up to that mounting block because I rewarded that first effort. And if I hadn't have rewarded that first effort, I don't know if he would, it just worked really well for this horse, because he needed those small efforts to tell him that he was on the right track, and not demand too much at once. And so this is kind of cool. Like I can get on and off him, and he stands there and he's got no halter on or nothing on. And that just helps build our relationship, together, and builds my confidence in him and his confidence in me. So this is yet another day of me riding him. I did start him out often in the round pen, and then I'd move out into the bigger arena. And here what I'm going to work on is I'd like to work on under saddle, moving that butt and moving the shoulders and my side pass. And so what I'm doing here is I'm letting him know, or just reinforcing and reminding him on the ground. Remember, we used to do this on the ground, and before I get on, and ask him to do it under saddle. And then here I'm using the stirrup where I want him to move that hind end over. So now when I get on him, it's not so confusing. He's like, okay, I remember this. So it translates a lot easier and a lot quicker. So I did review this on the ground too, but I'm asking him, you can see I'm asking him to move his shoulders over by laying that rein on him and then steering him a little bit. And even just that little bit of moving his shoulders over was fine. Here, same thing, ask him to move his shoulders over a little bit. So just working on body control. So I'm just working on moving the shoulders and moving the haunch. And then once those are working, then try to work on the side pass. And he already knows how to do all this stuff on the ground really, really well. So I can just ask him, you know, with the lightest of touch on the ground, or even just looking at the body part I want to move, and he'll move his shoulders, he'll move his haunch, and he'll side pass. Just getting that to translate under saddle right now just takes patience and time and baby steps. I can't just expect him to start doing it like right off the bat. But what does happen is, because he's had that groundwork, when he does get the right answer and I release, it really clicks, and then he gets it faster than if I hadn't have done that preparation on the ground. And look, we almost even have a side pass there, which is pretty cool. And that was nice. He just kind of lagged with his front end, so I'm kind of asking him to move it over. And when he gets frustrated, he tries to bite my right foot, which is kind of annoying, but he's just expressing himself. But he doesn't get in trouble for it. I'm just acknowledging that, okay, he's getting frustrated there, and there he gets it. He's like, okay, got it. He's still lagging his front end a little bit, but that'll come. Hey, buddy. See, you got both sides. Good job, buddy. And then here I am in the big arena, and I threw that mounting block out there and asking him to side pass up to me with the saddle on, so I could start getting on that way. And it translated really well. He was like, oh, I know this answer. And he was so good for it, and that was nice. So I don't know why it's taking me so long to get on him. So there we are. So the exercise I'm doing in this arena early on is, so we got forward going, that's working. So the next step is I need steering. And he knows how to steer because I ground drove him, right? So he already knows how to do that. But he doesn't know how to do it with a rider on per se, just because he did it on the ground driving. We hope it translates over, but sometimes they just need some clarification. So what I'm doing here, because naturally horses want to be where they feel safe, or they have a pull somewhere, whether it's that open gate or where his stall is or something like that. And so what I do is just letting him move around, see where he wants to go, and then we go in the opposite direction. So then he starts actually trying to pay attention to me and not where he wants to go. So he goes right, and then I turn him left. And then when he turns left, I release. And then he goes left, and then I'll turn him right. And then when he goes right, I release. And then here, I'm just still working on that backup. It was such a struggle for this horse to really learn how to back up. So I did a lot of backing up. And like you could see, he'll get stuck. I'm asking him to move off my leg out here, which is kind of a big deal. And he did right there. You see him kind of move over a little bit. So that's good. These are just little baby steps of moving off my leg, of being out here in this big arena. Here I'm trying to work on, we took a break from ridden stuff for a day, and I'm working on in-hand stuff, and he wanted to act like a big kid and play and act like a goofball. So I was like, oh, I'll spend like 5 minutes working on this in this pasture. Ended up being like 30 minutes of a workout for me, because he wanted to just goof off and not pay attention to me. And I kind of need him to pay attention to me. So that was fun. Can you tell? Here, Greña got to meet our two older sons, Keelan, who's 21, and Kamar, who's 15. They both, believe it or not, know how to ride and know about horses, but they're just not really into it. So they came and got to meet him. They came up to visit me in Sacramento.
It's kind of cute.
Is he cute?
Give you this shirt. You want this on?
He's like, I'm busy. I'm eating this other
What is
one.
on? So baby.
Yeah, that one's evil.
Oh, what? Oh. Dude, how long is it gonna take you to eat one carrot?
It was a big carrot.
Really? Stop being afraid. He's not gonna bite you. Can you just take it? Thank you.
Isn't it cute? He's a good boy. He's like, guys, give me this big carrot.
I think you hold on to that, right? Mm-hmm. I want him to bite me now.
He's not gonna bite you. He's not gonna bite you. He doesn't bite. You guys are so funny. He's like, I want the other one. Aw, he likes Kamar.
I don't have more. You gave him a fat carrot.
See, he's a good boy. He's still like, this carrot's huge.
Şiire surattan Fors'tan geçiyor.
So this is maybe the second time I've ridden him in the big arena, and Martin was out there working a horse, and then he had a lesson that he gave. So there's a couple horses out there running around, and these are reining horses, so they're like, you know, sliding and running and spinning and stuff. So it was really, really great for him to be out there with that. And then I learned that his back is getting better, but I learned that he's super distracted by other horses. So that's a bit of an issue that we are going to have to work on big time. So this is our lay down, and I think that this is the first time I've ever trained a horse how to lay down using this particular method where I pick up his foot, and I don't really like it. It kind of puts them in an awkward position, and then it makes them like kind of, you know, like I have to move that leg. It's just not as smooth. So I'm working on now, you know, making that a little more finesse to it, putting a different cue on it, so that it's not so just awkward. Because see, he's got that other foot out, and it's just kind of awkward to get him down. I mean, he does it, but it's just awkward. It's not the prettiest thing. I don't like it. I like it to be a lot smoother than that, a more subtle cue. We're working on it.